Hey, what's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? Welcome to D. Smith Let's Discuss. Welcome to today's session. Man, today's session, this is 2012. Shout out to Jeremy Heck for breaking these videos down. Now we know old boy has been capped all along. We know this. We know writers want to be a gangster, want to be a thug. He did change over the years, not being himself. But let's react to this video from Jeremy Heck. Great series, man. Drake takes Kendrick and J. Cole on tour. And now a lot of individuals think Kendrick is supposed to kiss Drake butt for the rest of his life because he put him on tour. Cap. That is where a father figure come in. Go listen to Mr. Morale and the one single Father. And you will understand what I am talking about. Let's go. Welcome to the session.
Still sell on t-shirts. I want to be that iconic, like Michael Jackson.
Literally a dollar in your pocket. Piecing that up, go down the street, get some chicken. This wasn't handed to us by a long shot. All we had was opportunity. And that was opportunity to have a free studio to record it. And, we appreciated that. That's all we had.
When my album dropped, it cleared up like a lot of stress I had on me, like about the album, a lot of like pressure. And when it dropped and it did what it did, I was like totally free. So I had this first phase when I was in Europe, and I had a studio over there on the bus, and I had another phase when I came home. I go through phases. Like I had an LA phase when I was in the studio out here, and I just did I had a studio bus. First time I had a real studio bus. So I had that phase. It's like where I'm at, I'm trying to create. And what's happening is I get music from different parts of my life. It's crazy, so just working wherever I'm at.
Do you agree? Do you feel like you dropped the album of the year?
I definitely feel like that.
Word.
It's not as hard work, not to knock anybody else,
right.
But I know the work and the time that I put into this album and, months and no sleep and just working in the studio. I definitely feel like, I can't slight nothing away as far as the accomplishment and the accolades that, the world is saying. So I definitely feel that way.
There's people I can put on here that the label wants me to put on here, but I fight for this one reason, man. I fight to promote what I love. You know what I'm saying? I fight to promote the music that I truly love. So when I get in the car, one of the rare moments that I get in the car and drive, this is what I'm listening to. Other than myself, other than the family, this is what I'm listening to. So it's only right, man. Like 12,000 people tonight. 13 years. Yeah, the night after that, yeah, we about to uplift some spirits tonight, let these kids have fun. But
J. Cole collab on mixtape. Do you feel like you two are kind of like the leaders of this new movement that's really about substance more than anything?
Yeah, definitely. We take pride in that too. We take their responsibility, and we show that through our music. That's the whole point and whole ideal situation for us to continue this culture of hip hop that actually has a full body of work, not just sporadic songs everywhere, radio songs.
It's 2012. Kendrick Lamar is readying his album Good Kid, Mad City, which is set to finally release this year. J. Cole is already working on the follow-up to his successful Sideline story from last year, but this time he's hoping to do it with a lot more creative control and to make the album he really wants to make, regardless of the label. And Drake is riding high off the success of his album Take Care, which continues to sell and continues to produce singles. He's also preparing for tour with some very special guest openers. What's going on? My name is Jeremy Heck, and welcome back to Passing of the Crown, a 16-part YouTube series diving into the big three in more depth than you will find anywhere else. If you missed 2009, 2010, or 2011, I will link the playlist right here. Go check those out and then come back to this video. I want to send a special thank you to all of the reactors who have been reacting to the videos and adding context. Specifically, Mac Wop dropped a super dope reaction to 2011 and even played an unreleased Kendrick song. So this series is getting new music out to the world. Well, new old music out to the world, which is amazing to see. So thank you guys so much for the support. If you do support and you're here watching, all I ask of you is that you hit the like button, leave me a comment, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes. But back to the story. Within the final weeks of 2011, Drake received his first real diss from a mainstream rapper, and surprisingly, it came from Common. Common released a song called Sweet where he seemed to throw not so subliminal shots at Drake the whole song. He was basically calling Drake soft on the hook in the verses. He made fun of Drake for singing and said he isn't hip-hop, which isn't a new critique to Drake at this time. He was receiving it across the board. But he had never received it from a rapper of Common status, specifically in a song as a diss. A lot of people were confused as to where the beef actually stemmed from, but come to find out, like most beefs, it stemmed back to a woman. And not just any woman, a very high-profile one. Common felt like Drake had sent subliminal shots towards him on some songs, paired with the fact that both had had a romantic relationship with Serena Williams. Let me know if there are any subs that you guys caught on Take Care that could be directed towards Common.
I felt like Drake was sending me a couple shots.
Subliminal?
So subliminal. He was sending
Y'all be at the light-skin karate class.
I don't know what motivated him to send me some shots, but I think what for sure had me, if I'm just being real, like, you know, we mess with one of the same girls, all about the same story. Yeah, same story that you hear a lot about. You know, wars happen over women.
The only ones that I thought maybe he could have taken in that context were On the Ride. What you order to forget about the game that you're on top of. Your famous girlfriend ass keep getting thicker than the plot does. I mean, who notoriously had and was famous? So anyways, he references Serena in verse 1, and then on verse 3 he says this: "You dudes is getting older. I see no threat in Yoda. I'm out here messing over the lives of these dudes that couldn't F with my freshman floater." And then he closes by saying, "My sophomore, I was all for it. They all saw it. My junior and senior will only get meaner. Take care." Now, context of Common listening to this and hearing him talk about his famous girlfriend who he knows is Serena Williams, and then also saying that he's out here messing over the lives of these dudes who couldn't mess with his freshman album, and basically saying they're getting older, he's on top now, it's his time, but also I'm banging your girl. I can see how Common might take that as a subliminal, but let me know if there's other bars that you might think could have sparked this. But to start off 2012 on January 6th, Drake features on Rick Ross's Stay Schemin', and he replies with a verse directed towards Common. This is the first time that Drake was really battle-tested in the public. He had some little back and forth before he was super famous in Toronto, but this is the first real mainstream battle. And I think this was a big moment for a lot of fans to take him seriously as an MC, especially since a big part of Common's diss was also how a lot of the mainstream hip-hop heads might have felt about Drake looking soft or not being hip-hop or using too much melody at the time. And here he stepped up to the plate and delivered one of his best guest verses of all time, if not the best guest verse of 2012, one of them, and in my opinion, probably one of his better guest verses ever. But let me know where you rank it in the comments and what your thoughts were when you first heard the verse.
I remember we were at Ross's house and he was playing me his project, and he just completely was like, "Oh yeah, this is like a song that me and French were working on," and I heard it and I was like, "Yo,
Right.
this is it."
Right.
For me, this is the right. It just, again, it was a rap record with bars that was wavy, that had a hook. That's very rare and very hard to come by. Like it was pure bars, but the hook kept you engaged. The beat wasn't some like boom bap like granola shit that like, you know, made you like, yeah, just like some like dry ass. Like it had a wave. It sounded like nighttime in the whip. And yeah, I took the record back with me to the hotel. I think to the studio I was at. I did the verse that night. I might have done the verse at Ross's house. We all went to get changed and shoot the video.
It bothers me when the gods get to acting like the broads. Guess every team doesn't come complete with dudes like ours. I see no need to compete with dudes like y'all. I just ask that when you see me, you speak up, that's all. Don't be ducking like you never wanted nothing. It's feeling like rap changed. It wasn't time, it was rugged. Back when if a dude reached, it was for a weapon. Nowadays, they reach just to sell their records. Might look light, but we heavy though. You think Drake will pull some shit like that, you never know. Now, this was also a big line in contention, like Drake acting tough. Specifically on headlines, a lot of people said, you know, Drake was talking like a mafia boss, and here, he's kind of responding to that too, saying like, you think Drake would do something like that? You never know. I know that line in itself caused a lot of controversy at the time. But here's where he was replying directly about Serena. Thought he wanted to tell me secrets about a rap dude. I tell that bitch it's more attractive when you hold it down. Kobe about to lose 150 M's. Kobe, I hate it had to be him. Bitch, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym.
But you wasn't with me shooting in the gym.
He's basically saying, listen, I know about you from Serena, and I'm actually the one who's telling her, you don't need to tell me all that stuff about Common. So clearly, this would spark a response from Common.
They dropped the Stay Scheming, and my homie called me Black Talking. And he was like, man, he talking to you on that. And at that point, I was like, man, I can't even. I just gotta.
Over the girl.
I just gotta.
I think you're mad.
It wasn't even the girl.
See the shot on Stacey Scheming.
We couldn't tell, like, cause that's what. So that's why I was like. No. We couldn't tell, so that's why I was like, hey, I'm gonna let you know, like right now. So if you coming at me, you don't know who it is. I'm coming at you. I'm coming.
I also, interestingly enough, did ask Lucian Grange once on a red carpet, my first ever red carpet with Hip Hop DX, about this bar where Drake said, tell Lucian I said fucking I'm tearing holes in the budget. I asked him if that was a real phone call that he gets from Drake, like, hey, I need more budget, and Lucian at that point said, I have one specific question about a lyric that I want to ask you. So on Stay Schemin', Drake says, tell Lucian I said fuck it, I'm tearing holes in my budget.
Tell Lucian I said fuck it, I'm tearing holes in my...
Drake call you up after that and say, hey, I need more money for my project.
If ever Drake or whenever Drake calls up and says he needs more money for his project, I give it to him.
That's probably the right.
He's the greatest.
This was 2020 when I asked him, so, Drake is their guy for the ginger ale brand. Honestly, Canada Dry is great. Okay, Canada Dry is a great drink. Especially, a hot day, you pop open a Canada Dry. You know what I'm talking about. I haven't been drinking the last year. A Canada Dry at the bar with a little lime, you know what I'm saying? Comment said, everybody know you sweet. What the problem is, don't play dumb. I'm the one that acknowledged it. Son of a B, I imagine what your father is. She said, how you make your opponent the rapper of the moment. His style, he don't own it. Acting all hard when he hardly like that. You gon' mess around and make me catch a body like that. Ooh, don't do it. You wasn't a bitch because you sing. You a bitch because you cling like a bitch that's 18. Can't say my name but rap about a dude's wife. I'm taking too long with this amateur guy. You ain't wet nobody. You Canada Dry. From there, we never got a direct Drake reply, but I'm sure there were more subliminals on some verses afterwards. If anybody can spot any, let me know. At the time, I remember thinking these were really hard bars from Common too, so it was a very solid back and forth. So it wasn't like Drake came out here and washed Common away or anything like that, but I think a lot of people did look at it like, okay, he's ready to compete at that level when someone does challenge him. Meanwhile, J. Cole rented out a house in LA and is working on the follow-up to his debut album, Born Sinner. Cole brought out producers and musicians and was finally working on an album from scratch. He used almost all of the songs he was saving for his last two projects, and with the pressure off of him to create this hit for the label, he can now create the album that he actually wanted to make, but he had to do it from scratch with all new ideas. And he wanted to showcase where he was at in his life now. But it wasn't just Drake. Cole got into his first ever back and forth as well. The shocking target, Diggy Simmons. Yes, 2011 XXL freshman Diggy Simmons and son of Ron. I actually liked a few Diggy songs at the time, I'm just gonna say. But Cole allegedly talked about a fling that he had with Diggy's sister on an unreleased song called Purple Rain. They did go to school together at St. John's. And there were some comments made back and forth and maybe some bars back and forth, but in February, J. Cole released Grew Up Fast, where he jokingly aimed a couple lines at Diggy and said this: move along, ain't nothing to see. Unless you talking about blockbusters, you dudes is not Russell, you more Diggy. Me, I'm more Biggie. No diss to the young boy, I'm just rapping, get bored quickly. Just to make up for that line, invite him on tour with me, show him the game, let him finagle these whores with me, run through the doors with me, hit the Ritz-Carlton for the night, leave him there with two dykes, probably change a dude's life. What up, Vanessa? I loved you that one semester. Thanks to my profession, I balled like Uncle Fester. Diggy probably didn't take too kindly to these bars, and he had recorded a diss track that ended up leaking where he aimed at Cole. Cole didn't respond in an official capacity, but he did respond with this freestyle, ironically, on stage with Kendrick Lamar, and I think he ended the beef.
Talent now on flop, but it's cool. He caked out on his allowance. I was out in Vegas. Kicks was the latest. Bitch was the baddest. Her head was the greatest. Only one thing that I ask of you haters: you can't diss a nigga if you got him on your playlist.
In February, MTV released their 2012's Hottest MCs list, where Drake was number 2 and Cole and Kendrick were nowhere to be found on the list. Even though in reality at this point I do think that Cole deserved to be on that list. If you look at his success the previous year with Sideline Story and his buzz at the moment, I think he did deserve a spot. And Kendrick, of course, would pop that list the next year after Good Kid, Mad City, but that's a whole nother story. We'll get to that in the next video. In an interview Cole did with Bootleg Kev, he did say it bothered him, and on his Inevitable series, he said that it felt like the mainstream publications weren't showing him the respect that he felt he deserved at that time, or that he was being overlooked. Cole had other things to worry about that month because he was at All-Star Weekend receiving an alley-oop from Kevin Hart that actually became pretty legendary.
One-on-one, yes. Any type of movement, because the movement is over with. Oh, this is done.
J. Cole rising up on the alley-oop feed from Kevin Hart. It's a cold world right now.
Somebody in the comments said that they were going to tell their kids that this was LeBron and D-Wade, and I thought it was pretty funny. That same month, Cartoons and Cereal ended up leaking, which was a Kendrick song with Gunplay, and the reaction was pretty crazy.
So man, holla at us about that Cartoons and Cereal real quick.
Hell yeah, shit. Matter of fact, I'm gonna try to, I should have been hit this nigga Gunplay. I want to get the video done for that motherfucker. So we been talking about it. I know I'm going to Tallahassee tomorrow. That's not too far. Hopefully I can get that dude out to put the pieces, the final touches on the motherfucker. Because once we threw it out there, it was really killed the streets, man. That was something for the album actually. And it just felt like, shit, they needed that now. So it went out there, that motherfucker did what it did, and it's going crazy. So I love it.
Was initially supposed to be on Good Kid, Mad City on the album, and if you listen to it, you can see how it might fit into the context of that storyline. But Gunplay was dealing with a lot of legal trouble, and there were some clearance issues, so it didn't end up on that project.
This is the legendary Fruity Pebbles. None of that bullshit ass Cheerios with the no sugar. What's all that healthy shit? Raisin Bran? Stop talking to me. Don't talk to me about no fucking Raisin Bran, dog. Wheaties? Stop it. Don't talk to me. You pick that up in the hour walking with me, I'm liable to punch you in your face if you were my cousin. The crunch is always one of a kind.
It's crazy because like 10 years, 15 years later, he's not thinking like this. This is very interesting. The mind frame, right? As you get older.
Let me show you what I do. I eat that one crunch just to get the feel of the shit, and I just let that shit sit.
Motherfuckers, all y'all can sell my dick. All them days at the game.
Bring it back after a minute. 60-40 rule. I like half of my shit 60% soggy, and the other 40 crunchy. Now you be able to blend that shit in. Fire pack. Well, I got this shit down to a science. Stop talking to me. Science. I got this shit down to a science. Talk for hours about this shit. I mastered this shit.
Meanwhile, also in February, the Club Paradise Tour kicked off, and opening up for Drake were A$AP Rocky and none other than Kendrick Lamar. Here's what Kendrick had to say about his experience on that tour.
Than I had 6 months ago with a whole nother demographic, of people listening to my music. Definitely going to capitalize on that. Shout out to Drake.
You reached out. How did that happen?
I sat down with Drake in Toronto a while back when I did my first show out there. He called me up, man. We had a few drinks, and
So this is very interesting. A lot of people think because Drake brought Kendrick on tour, they think Kendrick is supposed to kiss Drake's ass for the rest of his life. No, it don't happen like that. I'm gonna use you for this opportunity to get on, and that's exactly what I did. Now I'm way more famous. I done kicked your back in 3 or 4 times.
Said he was, appreciative of my music. I've always been a fan of his music. And we've just been chopping it up since, man. And, hit me up one day and say, what?
I bet Kendrick Lamar still listens to Drake music. I bet he do.
And it's a lot of artists out there, man. That could have been on that tour with him. For him to just, sit there and respect my music and get the same mutual respect. That's what did itself. So shout out to Tristan.
Was that tour like, it's the time now that it's been since you were on the tour? At what point was that tour that you were like, where you at right now?
That tour was a great advantage, and I shout out Drake every time for letting me see that, that type of atmosphere. Because what happens is it warms you up, for us to come. Everybody want to get bigger and want to get better and have a broader audience. But, when you get to that level, some might not know how to control the audience, and that's a tough job to do, to have, a arena full of people, in tune with every song, every movement, So it was really like I would say scrimmage. By the time my next album come around, you know, hopefully I'll be at that, be on that leagues, right?
So you kind of saw how Drake did it, you know? Like
Yeah.
It's educational, like.
Right. That's a whole nother world.
And Kendrick would rap this freestyle every night, introducing himself to the people.
My plan is to win your hearts before I win the Grammy. My name is Kendrick Lamar. My words like a sword in the hands of a Spartan march on Rosecrans and Compton. You can't cause conflict or corrupt my spirit. I'm on point like Pirate. I've been there and gone before you get near it. Ooh wee. That boy remind me of a young Martin Luther. We piece of troopers around of shooters like Malcolm X did. I stand for what I believe in. That's family, God, and honor. From Chicago, my daddy and my mama. They came to Compton to accomplish one thing. Reign supreme, raise a king named Kendrick. I ain't lying to stand for king and I am one. My unborn son and grandson will live royal. From the coochie to the soil. The meek shall inherit the earth. But I had this world since birth. Feel the good king songer. The Crips made strong. The rivalries made stronger. Muscle in my heart. I stare in the eyes of Mozart and tell him I'm the genius. I love myself and I hug myself. Inside means this with all my soul. And you can't control greatness that you hating with the heart of Satan. But even that can't stop it. I'm here. You can shoot shots and cheer. Cause New Orleans, I'm Kendrick motherfucking Lamar. Love y'all.
There's actually footage of Kendrick, A$AP, and Drake all hanging out backstage.
Yeah, it's rare that you meet people, man, like with talent and then like a mindset and then just like an immediate loyalty to go with that talent, you know. So when I met A$AP, like I said in the interviews, you know, to whoever asked me, you know, I say the same thing, man. Like this guy right here, just right off the bat, did one of the kindest things anybody's ever done. Like came to check me, brought me a bottle of Chris. You know what I'm saying? Got me back drinking Chris. They're like fun there. So, you know, it's people I can put on here that the label wants me to put on here, but I fight for this one reason, man. Like I fight to promote what I love. You know what I'm saying? I fight to promote the music that I truly love. So when I get in the car, one of the rare moments I get in the car, drive, you know, this is what I'm listening to. You know, other than myself, other than, you know, the family, this is what I'm listening to. So like, it's only right, man. Like 12,000 people tonight. 13, yeah, the night after that, you know. Yeah, we about to uplift some spirits tonight, let these kids have fun, but you know, I feel like everybody on this tour just has it right now. I feel like this is a moment in time, so you know, I'm honored this man accepted. I'm just happy to be here, and I'm honored to be here, man.
Why when old boy talk, you just want to go to sleep and like I really want to fast forward this part right here. When this guy talk, man, when Drake talks, like, oh my fucking God.
He even referenced the decision to take them on tour with these bars on 4 p.m. in Calabasas and said it was something that even his label didn't want him to do, but that he wanted to make that decision for hip-hop. Even back when I wasn't as poppin', when they told me to take an R&B dude on the road and I told them no and drew for Kendrick and Rocky, I tried to make the right choices with the world watching. Talking about that decision to Elliott Wilson in an interview, shout out to my co-host, Drake said this: I'm confident and happy with my career, which allows me to listen to people without bias, without feeling any kind of way. With Take Care, I sort of solidified my lane, what I do, and the artist I am. So in just keeping my eyes open, I found two guys that I enjoyed their music, and then I got to meet them, and I enjoyed their movement, and had respect for the people that they are. I like what they stand for. I said to myself, it would be great to embark on a nice, young, refreshing journey with these guys, as opposed to teaming myself up with somebody who could sell me some tickets. But luckily, and I do say luckily because it is a blessing, I don't really need anybody to sell me any tickets. A lot of the shows had been sold out before I added anybody. It's not to say A$AP and Kendrick didn't sell tickets or that people were excited, but I got to pick artists I actually liked. It wasn't a label or Live Nation telling me, this is who you need to pick so we can sell these shows out. We all get along and respect each other's direction and craft, and we're all so different, which allowed us to get out there and embrace each other just on some young, revitalizing shit. It was the best tour I've been on to date. Kendrick even admits that his audience grew from that tour. He went from doing about 500 to 3,000 people to the Drake shows, which were 10,000 to 20,000 people at the time. I mean, he even sold out the O2 Arena back-to-back nights in London, which is 18K people each night. And apparently they said he could have done a third night.
Hey, Jeremy, word advice. Your videos are too long. Wait an hour of this? Come on, bro. Cut it down to 45 minutes, 40 minutes. This shit is just too long, man. I'm just saying, man. Can't keep nobody attention that damn long.
2 more hours, we gotta. My nigga Drake. We need some motherfucking, you know.
Alright, man, that's crazy.
And the transition of me doing the 2000 meetings I've been doing back then is a little sketchy. I'm doing this 10,000, I gotta really work some motherfucking magic and set my game all the way up. It's a challenge, I love it. I'm in Drake, holding it down, you know what I mean, putting us out there, see this motherfucking crowd that we ain't seen before, me and ASAP, Chase. It's a lovely movie, man.
He also headlined Wireless that year, bringing out The Weeknd and Nicki Minaj with 65,000 people in attendance. Rosenberg even asked Kendrick how he felt about touring with Drake, who was the bigger artist at the time, and asked if he felt any pressure to switch up the type of music that he makes just to appeal to a crowd that size or to gain an audience like Drake had.
This is what brings about an interesting relationship of yours. I have to say I was excited and concerned when I heard about you touring with Drake. Yeah. I was like, that's dope. And I was like, well, I hope it doesn't hang with Drake too hard because, you know, Drake is a dude who, the space he's in musically right now, you know, it's cool, there's a place for it, but Drake isn't exactly doing what we thought he would, what many of nerdy backpackers like myself thought he might be doing a few years ago.
Right.
And I won't lie, definitely crossed my mind. I was like, damn, I hope Kendrick doesn't get co-opted by the radio scene that Drake is caught up in right now. So how do you balance having a relationship and touring with someone when musically you're really in a kind of a different space than Drake is in?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it goes back to what I said the first time. I gotta have a vision. You know, me being 17 or 19 years ago, I'd have easily been manipulated, you know, by being on stage with a person that sold millions, you know, in front of millions and sold millions of records, you know, every night. And seeing people, seeing that crowd, that sea of people, I'd have easily, you know, try to transcend what I was doing and compromise what he was doing.
Because there had to be nights when you got on stage before him, and obviously I know every night you rocked, I'm sure there were people who came out for you, but I'm sure a larger part of that audience was for Drake, and there were nights when you're out there doing your songs, and cats weren't reacting the same way they would be if you were doing something that was much friendlier to them.
Definitely.
You have to have some confidence.
That's a challenge within itself.
Right.
And I already knew I was going to go into the situation being able to challenge myself because I'm used to doing, you know, a crowd of 3,000. And this was no radio, no album, or no promotion. So I'm figuring, you know, that's good for me, you know, in the world that I'm in as an artist. And when you put up against 10,000 people, you already got to be prepared mentally to know what you're up against. You got to have nothing but confidence and to win over at least 10 people at a time at a show. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get everybody. But if I figure if I'm doing 30 shows with this dude and I can win over at least 100, you know, that's a bigger step for me and my company. So that's how I look at it.
But Drake was conscious of wanting an audience that size and wanting to appeal to the masses. He really did want to be the biggest artist in the world, and it's clear in his interviews. In that interview with Elliot, he said this about not just focusing on just being considered the best rapper and wanting to make music for the masses. He said the names don't mean anything. This was in reference to him working with a bunch of big names on Thank Me Later. If the songs aren't good, they're not good. If me and so-and-so don't make a bunch of music like me and 40 would or me and Jamie XX would that moves people that I can come to Berlin and do for 8,000, 9,000 people or go do 30,000 people in London, if it's not going to work, then what's the point? Who am I doing it for? I'm basically doing it for your website, which was Rap Radar at the time. But it is clear that on some level Drake still did care about being respected as an MC. Even if he said it didn't bother him, you could tell that that was one of his goals and it did matter to him. After Kendrick and A$AP finished their legs, J. Cole joined the summer leg of the tour alongside Meek Mill and Waka Flocka Flame, and ironically, J. Cole and Kendrick furthered their musical relationship while Cole was on that tour. There was a delay during the Raleigh, North Carolina stop, so Kendrick flew down to Fayetteville, and the two worked together on their collab project while on Cole's studio bus. He came to Fayetteville, and we worked on that studio bus for 2 or 3 days. Before, I had sent him joints, but this was the first time we actually got to lock in and work on shit, and that shit was so fun, dog. It felt like when your cousin would come over to your house. Kendrick even played Cole some of his album Good Kid, Mad City at the time, but this was the first chance that they had to really lock in together like that. In terms of the tour, Cole said that even though it was Drake's tour, he had some diehard fans out there rapping his lyrics every single night, which was obviously encouraging.
So how's the Drake tour going?
It's good, man. You know, we at the early stages. It's fun. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Words, a lot of rappers.
A lot of rappers. It's
Lot of
such a
rappers.
hip hop tour.
It is, man.
Rap popping
It's
off.
dope. I think we scared Live Nation a little bit.
Hey, for real.
Word.
I know you and Drake, you guys share a lot of the same fans. Is it kind of cool to go on tour and see? I mean, that's a big tour, you know. That's a big audience. Singing some, you know, your album. You know what I mean? That has been anticipated for so long. Finally came out in September.
Absolutely.
What's that like, man? Seeing people really vibe to the
dope, man.
The hard work.
It's an incredible feeling, you know, to be, you know, when you do the singles, it's a rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
Hey, shout out to the Jeremy Heck team that has scoured the internet to get all these interviews. Because this is not easy to do, man. Gathering all these interviews, clips, it's not easy, man.
To be able to do a few of the album, because I only got so much time on the stage, but to be able to do a few of the album joints and to see people in the crowd that know them word for word, like we dial in a dream and they know it, you know what I'm saying? And the real cool thing is, like, I don't know how cool it is for them, but like, you know, ticket prices kind of determine where you're sitting, right? So it's like you got these people in the front with die-hard Drake fans, and they pay top-notch prices, like it's like VIP level, right?
Sure.
So and even some of them, like, a lot of them know, like, word for word. But the real crazy thing is, like, if I squint my eyes and I look way in the back, you know, we're doing like amphitheaters or whatever, way in the back, like a bunch of like die-hard fans. You see Cold World shirts, like some of my fans is kind of like,
they there.
Like they paid $800, like they couldn't go to the 250 or whatever.
They could be right in the front, but they rocking with you, man.
They all the way there in the back, so it's love.
Cole continued to drop Lucy's, releasing The Cure, where he rapped over Kanye and J Beat from Watch the Throne. He had a verse on the Drink in My Cop remix, which I loved at the time, and a verse on the remix for Beyonce's Party. He also dropped Visions of Home and a couple more SoundCloud Lucy's. While Cole was dropping unofficial singles, though, without the pressure of the label and working on his next body of work, Kendrick was gearing up for his official release. On July 31st, Kendrick dropped Swimming Pools, the second official single from Good Kid, Mad City after the recipe with Dr. Dre. The craziest part about this song was I remember kids were pre-gaming to this song, drinking and getting drunk and turning up to this song, even though Kendrick is so genius that he coded this turn-up song with messages about the dangers of drinking. I remember I was the guy at the party telling the girl, like, she's singing this song. Oh my God, I love this song. I'm like, you don't even understand, though. This song is really about the dangers of drinking and why Kendrick doesn't drink now, because the trauma that it caused in his family. He's actually saying we don't need to be drinking. And you know what? Enjoy the song. It's funny because I didn't drink at the time, so it was even more relatable. I even made a remix to Swimming Pools at this time. I was talking about not wanting to drink. I'll see if I can find it. I'll insert a little piece of it.
Pull up the drink, dive in it, step into the sliders and vibe with it. I'm thinking that I might pass out for the night soon, but I need 5 minutes. I need less tweeting, more living, less rappers, more women, less bull, no Jordan, Pippin, less drowning and more sipping. Okay, if I'm the feature, you're a rental man. These rappers biting me, I think they need a dental plan. They taking shots at me, someone should call the doctor. Please need a shot to get lost since he's swimming. I'll let the vodka speak. Shot at me, you're about to be on time for the road, just try to see. Come on, hype, just go there, don't be scared. I'll lead the way, let's drink, girl, partying. There's no point in C-train. I usually only sip beer, but then I get a beat to say. Baby, saying only 2 or 3 shots. I'ma show you how to turn it up a notch.
The song peaked at number 17 on Billboard, number 3 on the US Hot R&B and Hip Hop Songs chart, and ended up going 4 times platinum in the US. Kendrick ended up winning Lyricist of the Year at the BET Hip Hop Awards later that year over J. Cole, Nas, Jay-Z, and Kanye West.
Lyricist of the Year. Jay-Z, I'm talking about Nas, I'm talking about Kanye West, I'm talking about my homeboy J. Cole. But for them to give me Lyricist of the Year, I know for a fact that I didn't do this alone. God and you motherfuckers out there. So with that being said, that was the first step. Tonight is for everybody to understand me. I need you to recognize my playing because the way y'all out show with the brand new. My name is Kendrick Lamar.
While at the BET Awards, Drake won Male Hip Hop Artist of the Year, and Big Sean won Best New Artist. But speaking of Sean, on September 5th, both J. Cole and Kendrick had standout verses on Big Sean's Detroit mixtape, which is still my favorite project from Sean, who is my favorite rapper, as a lot of you guys already know. But I think Kendrick's verse really stood out on this one, and it almost sounded like he was thinking the world actually might end in 2012, or that he might not be around for that long. I don't know, it had a really eerie feeling. He had a sense of urgency. I gotta climb these effing charts. I gotta do something that's innovative, creative, just to create a legacy before death do us part. I gotta find, cause I want to vote, I promise I know the history of those who died for the rights for me to survive, but those who lied to the minority will make them turn inside their grave. I can easily pretend like y'all, but that's not me. I gotta spread the truth even when the truth can hurt. The youths need to know every detail about this earth, the devil controls it. So before you scrutinize how I feel as God, if the poll's important, the end is near. The way he said the end is near was so eerie to me at that time. And even on Grow Up Fast, you can hear Cole say Big Sean was in the building. And apparently, Big Sean, J. Cole, and Meek Mill were working on a joint EP together that we obviously never got. But Cole was supposed to be on Burn with Meek Mill and Big Sean, which, of course, never happened. Cole probably has like 7 collab projects that are just apparently he was working on one potentially with Miguel. Cole, we need this music. Let the vault go in the same way that you're letting out these stories on Inevitable. Let the music out. There's so much. One day for the people, come on. Drake hopped on Meek's song Amen, marking their first official collaboration, which would also end up on Meek's debut album, and some of the video was shot on the Club Paradise tour. You can even see J. Cole in the background here. I do love that song. Kendrick appeared alongside MMG on the song Power Circle, which is an incredible posse cut. I recently chopped it up with Wale and I asked him about this song, and he said that Ross gave him no real heads up about the actual song. He just said, you're going to want to take this one seriously. Let me know who had the best verse on that song in the comments.
You know what I also was listening to right before this was Power Circle? Mm-hmm. That was crazy. How does that even happen?
All I know is Ross was like, go in on this joint, you don't know what's gonna be on there. You know, he said, you on the road now. I just locked in, everybody get out to the studio. When I heard it all together, I was like, okay, I did exactly what it sounds exactly how it sounds.
That's why I don't even have a favorite verse. Like, I do think there's a top 3 verses.
Me, Gunplay, and that.
I have Meek above Gunplay, but Gunplay has the quotables. No, you do, it's time to pee now.
Yeah, it's time to pee now, that's all. We'll see that.
I might have to put Gunplay above.
Everybody, we'll see that.
Yeah.
Where your plate, where your lobster, where your sea bass?
But you had a hook, so that's why I give you like extra credit.
Ross didn't like over-inform us like on stuff. He was like, this song's called this. Boom, whatever, yeah.
Speaking of features, Drake had a pretty insane feature run in 2012 while he was gearing up for his next release. He kept the fans fed and his momentum alive while on tour with features that included songs like Pop That, No Lie with 2 Chainz, Round of Applause with Waka, The Zone with The Weeknd, Diced Pineapples with Ross and Wale, and the Elite.
So, this will get interesting. It's a plateau, right? Oh, well, I already know he was gonna get to. Then he started jumping on Rick Ross, 2 Chainz, who was hot during this time. Future, right? Think about it. I'm gonna jump on these guys because this is the culture right here during this time. And this bitch ass nigga flipped it and said, I'm gonna make these guys hot. No, they made you hot because 2 Chainz, Rick Ross Future was popping during this time. Meek Mill popping. The streets was bumping these guys, man.
This song, Enough Said. At the time, Drake was working on a reported posthumous album with Aaliyah vocals, working on it with 40. It obviously didn't end up coming out in full. But in terms of the features, he said he learned this tactic from Lil Wayne in terms of keeping the fans fed on his off-cycle time. Big Biz even called Drake a 99 overall player during this feature run. But the buzz surrounding Kendrick's album kept growing, and at this point, people were anticipating this album to be something special. The album initially leaked, which Kendrick said did bother him at first, and at that time, there were real worries with the leak that if it didn't live up to the hype, that people weren't going to buy it as much. But true fans were waiting it out. Even J. Cole said he waited to listen to this album until the day it dropped. I did too. I went to Walmart, I bought the CD, I listened in my car, I kicked the seat back, had my eyes closed and listened to the whole thing and remember seeing it vividly like a movie. I can still see in my mind the images that I had when I was first listening to that album. But let me know where you were when you first heard Good Kid, Mad City and what your initial thoughts were. And in anticipation of the album on October 20th, Kendrick dropped The Hard Part 3. The song was titled Will You Let It Die? And on it, Kendrick asked the listener a question. Will you let hip-hop die, or will you support it by keeping it alive and going out to get his album? Kendrick said on that song, when the whole world see you as Pac reincarnated, that's enough pressure to live your whole life sedated, find the tallest building in Vegas and jump off it, but I could never rewrite history in a coffin, so I'm talking to God, can you wash all these demons off me? And if they said that I'm the one, why you asking me? Because when the whole world see you as Pac reincarnated, enough pressure to make you just open the book of David and pray to God that you make it or live your life in the Matrix, because falling off is a sickness. I heard that it's quite contagious. I need to separate myself to stand out. It's funny because on Buried Alive, Kendrick references the Matrix as well, where he said, felt like the initiation, a reality living in the Matrix. So it's interesting that that could even be a callback to what he was experiencing on Buried Alive on Drake's album. Keep in mind at this time, even though Drake sold a ton, and of course Cole sold well with his debut album, we still weren't out of the era where sales determined what your next projects would be like, especially the budgets that went toward them. Kendrick had a lot riding on this album, but also the future of other artists who took the craft as seriously as Kendrick did too. That's why he phrased it as the fate of hip-hop lying in the hands of this album, and the audience had that choice. But hip-hop lived, and Good Kid, Mad City sold 242,000 copies in its first week, becoming the highest selling first week for a male hip-hop artist that year. And it only grew in success, going platinum after 3 months. Even afterwards, people were calling it an instant classic, and Kendrick was like,
it ain't a classic yet. Yeah, at least 10 years.
But this video of him performing Money Trees at Best Buy for the first time is a certified classic for sure.
And that's a lifestyle that we never knew. So where the reverend for the revenue? Hallelujah. What? Hallelujah. What? Think it wasn't, tell me what you do.
Drake called Good Kid the last great conceptual album. He said, I feel like the music that I write is utilized in life. It would be tough for me to go into conceptual storytelling. The last great concept album was Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City, still obviously true to his life, but very conceptual. Very specific stories that need to be told. I always say hats off to that album. That album's incredible. What an undertaking. There are rappers that are good at telling stories about people that aren't themselves. There are people that have vast imaginations to go and make up a story just to achieve a point. I draw off life experiences. And this wasn't just Drake's sentiment. Other people felt this way about the way Drake rapped and the way Kendrick rapped, specifically in a Complex article about Kendrick the day Good Kid, Mad City dropped. They said, Lamar's particular take on the art of storytelling, seeing the past as a window into the present, separates him from many of his peers. Consider Drake, who mostly raps about his current position on the timeline of his life as he lives it now. His raps have the urgency and nakedness of a diary entry read immediately after it was written. Lamar's approach is the opposite. To fully grasp the MC in 2012, you have to have known him when he was 12. And J. Cole said that when he heard the album, a lot changed for him. While he was happy for his friend, it only made him reflect on how he wasn't able to deliver on his album. He didn't do what Kendrick had done. He even felt like Kendrick had surpassed him. Not only with his numbers, but in terms of the love he was receiving from fans and his cultural impact with some of those songs. He said, when Kendrick's album dropped, the journey got harder, the mountain got steeper. Because similar to when So Far Gone dropped, where it was like, oh shit, there's another person out there that has the same ambitions as me, it happened like that with Kendrick. It was a feeling of surpassment. It was two indicators that told me. His first week numbers were more than mine. The other thing was we had a show where we were both on the same lineup, and I went before him and he went after me. And as we know from 7 Minute Drill, Cole definitely did think the album was a classic. But beyond that, on his audio series Inevitable, which is incredible by the way, if you haven't listened, I draw a lot of these Cole stories from that podcast where him and his manager are basically telling these amazing stories, and shout out to Scott, he's moderating this, about their entire journey. I'll link that below. But basically he was saying there that he was trying to catch up to Drake already, and now that Kendrick did this with Good Kid, Mad City, he felt like Kendrick surpassed him too, so now he's chasing the mainstream success of Drake and the critical acclaim of Kendrick, and he feels like he's almost behind in that race of the big three. But it's also cool to hear how he does reference those two as his reference points throughout his career. So this big three thing is real, okay? At least in the minds of these three. But sonically, hearing Good Kid, Mad City actually made him rethink his own upcoming album. Cole's biggest dream as an artist growing up was to have an undeniable classic first album similar to Illmatic, but his version, of course, Veilmatic. And while he did it with the mixtapes, seeing Kendrick do that with his actual major label debut album was another reminder that he didn't accomplish that goal. I think that would motivate him to work even harder on Born Sinner and eventually 2014 Forest Hills Drive, which to me is Cole's undeniable classic album. I think the other thing to remember from previous episodes too is that Cole had felt a lot of pressure from Jay-Z and the label in order to make this hit and make his album a certain way, and it ended up compromising the art. Whereas Kendrick would always talk about how Drake kind of just let him do his thing and bring me back the music. And while DJ Head did say that Swimming Pools was the result of Top Dawg wanting a single, even that, he didn't compromise his art for that single. He still, like I said earlier, had that message behind it, and it still fit conceptually into the album. Same with Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe, same with Backseat Freestyle, which was still conceptually him talking from the 16-year-old perspective, freestyling in the back of the car with his friends. On top of that, while J. Cole let Nas down at the time, Nas said that he won the Super Bowl and Nas the only one, congratulate me. In a song that can only be described as a victory lap, Kendrick dropped The Jig Is Up right after the album, and it was produced by J. Cole. Cole even described it as a victory lap on that song and claimed Kendrick as king. It was official that for this year, Kendrick had finally taken the crown. Your worst fears confirmed. We love that you crashed and burned. The real is back. K-Dot, it's your turn. Take your victory lap. King Cole saluting Compton's own King Kendrick. That's the sky is falling, the wind is calling, stand for something or die in the morning. The city hailed King Kendrick Lamar, the world hailed King Kendrick Lamar. He said people that thought Good Kid gon' flop, or that I might go pop, or your B won't drop knees when my shit drop. Y'all too infatuated with the effing numbers, which make it easy for me to divide and conquer, which I think is also very telling that yes, Kendrick cared about the numbers to some degree, but he wanted to make art and he didn't want to go pop, which is, again, a theme that we're going to be exploring in a couple of later videos.
Jig Is Up record you did with J. Cole.
Yeah.
It was done in one night?
Probably a few hours before it came out.
A few hours before it came out, you guys dropped it.
Yeah, just spontaneous, go in the studio and just, have fun.
That song was actually done a couple hours before it came out, so clearly Cole and Kendrick were hanging out right after the album release. And the collab album was still on the table at this point.
I know you and Cole got stuff in your can.
We got stash box.
A stash box.
A little stash box.
I mean, listen, I know that we get this question all the time about J. Cole collabo mixtape album. Realistically, I mean, you guys aren't recording that stuff for nothing. You know what I mean?
No, we're not.
You guys just gonna surprise us one day?
I think that's what it's gonna boil down to.
I don't think you guys should promote it. One day we're gonna log the Two Dope Boys, the Rap Radar, and just see a Kendrick J. Cole mixtape.
Yeah, he got his album coming right now, which is incredible. He just dropped a single, Miss America, so I know everybody going in a frenzy for that, so we probably got to wait.
Speaking of victory laps, Kendrick got the ultimate gift when Jay-Z hopped on the remix of Don't Kill My Vibe the following year, but let's not jump ahead of ourselves. Jay-Z will be involved in the next couple of years. But we can't forget the role that Drake played in Good Kid, Mad City and how it connects to his other tour opener, A$AP Rocky. Back to Poetic Justice in just a second. On October 24th, Effin' Problems dropped as a single off of A$AP Rocky's album, and it featured 2 Chainz on the hook alongside Drake and Kendrick on the verses. This would be the last time we would ever hear the two rap on the same song together, and probably the last time we will ever hear it happen. There are actually a bunch of different stories when it comes to the making of Effin' Problems, so I'm only going to go into what was publicly said and the stories that have been told from the multiple perspectives. I'm not going to necessarily jump into conspiracies that do surround this song and Poetic Justice in this video, but let me know if you want me to do a separate video about that stuff. 2 Chainz said he recorded a hard-ass verse for this song, which Drake then chopped up for the hook alongside 40 on the production. But since Drake wasn't in album cycle, he said he wanted to give it to a popping artist at the time, and the first person he thought of was Kendrick. Initially, Kendrick pitched Drake on Poetic Justice for his album, but Drake said he actually wanted to get on Effin' Problems and wanted Kendrick to put that on his debut album. Drake felt like Poetic Justice was the typical soft song for him to get on and wanted to switch it up, but once Kendrick explained the concept of his album and how it all tied together, he told Drake it wouldn't fit anywhere on the album and still wanted him on Poetic Justice. And he did record a verse there. But why let a hit record go to waste? So instead, Drake offered it to his second tour opener, A$AP, In this same interview, he actually called Kendrick a genuine friend. DJ Head on The Bigger Picture actually said that it was Kendrick who gave away a hit record with Effin' Problems. But when I tweeted about this and the song recently, Punch from TDE replied and said this: "From what I remember, Drake had the record first with the 2 Chainz hook. He wanted Doc to use it for his album, and he was going to put a verse on it instead of doing Poetic Justice. He also wanted to put Rocky on it. So Dot did a verse and told him to give it to Rocky and to still do Poetic Justice. Then producer in 1985 replied to my tweet and said, the actual story is that Drake made the song and gave it to Rocky. Drake literally produced the song with 40. This is the first time Drake publicly used the name Champagne Poppy. It's produced by 40 and C Poppy is listed as a producer, and that might be because of the way Drake chopped up that sample and put 2 Chainz on the hook. ASAP said that the song was like a Club Paradise reunion tour record. But I am really curious as to what happened on that tour, or if something happened to get in the way of Drake and Kendrick.
The lies we tell, 2 different stories. 2 different stories. They said Drake produced, man, cap. The lies you tell. The lies you tell, bro.
Friendship, because it's clear that during that tour they're both speaking highly of each other and seem to have at least a relationship. Did Kendrick see something behind the scenes? Did something happen? Did Drake say something to him? Did him and Drake just have a natural falling out? Maybe they just didn't vibe that much once they spent more time together. That happens too. But one interesting thing that is worth noting is that when I spoke to Glasses Malone during an episode of The Bigger Picture, I asked him about when people actually knew that Drake had ghostwriters, specifically when Kendrick might have known this. And Glasses said it would have been around 2011, 2012, which would have been right around the time that this tour happened. At that time, were there rumblings that you knew of within the Cash Money crew that you knew he had people working with him, or it wasn't till later that you had heard those rumors?
The first person that brought it to my attention, and I don't know if it's right to snitch on him, is Dot. Dot is the first person that brought it to my attention.
Do you think Kendrick, when he said that to you, was he disappointed? Like, because basically, I've been studying this all, like, was Kendrick disappointed?
Hell yeah. I called the nigga a liar.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's a fact.
I didn't quite understand what pop meant, like what pop was. Like, now I'm like, God damn it, you know what I mean? It made perfect sense. But when he first said that, I was like, hell no, man. I'm watching this dude do his thing. Like, you know, at that time, I'm still just kind of looking at him like somebody else at the label. You know what I mean? Like, shit, Tiger writing his own shit, Nick writing her own shit. Like, I'm thinking Cuz doing the same. And when Dot said it, remember then I heard King Kunta. So I'm like, this is about Cuz.
So one theory I do have is that Kendrick would have been looking at Drake as the guy who did have the crown for their generation at that point, and he really did want it. And he was willing to work his ass off to make sure that he was viewed by his generation as that guy. But Glasses said that once Kendrick found that out, he was very disappointed. And doing all this research, hearing Kendrick speak about how he wanted to be the greatest, I could see him actually genuinely being crushed, especially if I was crushed as a fan that Drake had writers when I found that out. Kendrick would work with Dr. Dre at this point, who has had a bunch of ghostwriters in the past, but he looked at him more as a producer. It's not like he was shocked that ghostwriting happened. He even said he came in the game as a ghostwriter, which I didn't know exactly who he was referring to when he said that. But I think he was looking at his generation and his competition. He had listed Drake as his competition as well as a peer. I think he was looking at them like, damn, I thought you were doing the exact same thing that I was doing in the sense of putting in this work with the pen. And
Nope. A lot of people gotta cheat to get ahead. To get a lot of individuals in this rap game is about the stars, the light, the cameras, the females, the clubbing. That's all they want. Actually put in the work. They don't want to do that.
Once he realized he wasn't in the same way that Kendrick was, I think he might have actually genuinely been disappointed. Now that still doesn't, to me, justify any sort of like hatred towards him, so I think something else had to have happened. I think disappointment is different than disdain. And maybe the Control verse the next year and everything that would happen to follow that, you know, amplified his feelings and Drake taking that in a sensitive manner. But I don't know, let me know if you think something else happened on this tour, or if any of the reactors have any other information. Feel free to add that to the story. Now, in terms of the Poetic Justice song, it fit perfectly into the context of Kendrick's album and did become a hit song. It reached number 26 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and number 6 on Billboard's Hot Rap Songs list.
Hey, Jeremy, great video. My only critique is this is too long. Damn near an hour. Come on, man. Stop playing.
And the song is 2 times platinum. Now, there is a whole theory here, and shout out to Anthony and his wife for coming up with this, that involves Kendrick being Drake's ghostwriter and writing Drake's verse on Poetic Justice for him. Now, I'm not going to dive into that theory in this specific video, but one thing that I think is interesting no matter what, even when you do think of Drake writing this verse himself, Kendrick could have known that Drake had ghostwriters at this time if we go by Glasses Malone's timeline.
So now we know it's a fact that Oh Boy has a team of writers. Go back to some of the lyrics, man, and you just start laughing at some of Oh Boy lyrics, man. Just do your own research, man.
So having the line in there, that's basically the pre-hook line, which I wouldn't consider ghostwriting, but a lot of times if a hook has a pre-chorus, a singer or a rapper will repeat it just in terms of the structure of the song. But to have those bars in there where he says, I can never right my wrongs unless I write them down for real, Kendrick may have done that intentionally, and it may have been for Drake to diss himself in that specific bar. But it would be interesting if Drake knew that Kendrick knew, then that would be something as a rapper I feel like Drake would question, like, yo, why'd you put this line in here? Do you know? So I can't imagine that Drake knew Kendrick knew. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. This whole thing is kind of strange to me, and there's a lot of missing pieces still. So let me know what you think about this whole thing in the comments, and if you want me to do a separate video about this, I will. In an interview with VH1 at the time, Kendrick said that him and Drake's verses are about specific people. He said, my vibe with Drake is real cool. This track was really bringing out the best of pulling out pure honesty on a track. We're talking about specific people. That's something he's great at, and something I figure myself at being great at, you know, just telling the story. The music video for Poetic Justice is super interesting as well, and shout out to Anthony for pointing this out in their video. It does say enemigo on screen right before Drake's verse, which in Spanish is enemy. So I don't know. That is an interesting thing to place on screen during that video. Again, I don't know. Kendrick is very intentional, so I'd be interested to know why he put that on screen. Also to note in the video, Kendrick did want to make it a point to have a darker skinned woman as the lead in the music video. He even said this, I always kept in the back of my mind, like, you don't ever see this tone of a woman in videos. No disrespect, I love all women, period. But at the same time, I still feel like it needs that balance.
Facts.
In December, Kendrick also featured on ASAP's One Train, on another one of the best posse cats of all time. But I personally think Big Crit had the best verse on that. Let me know who you thought in the comments below had the best verse on One Train. But the next year gets even more interesting. In 2013, Drake is working on Nothing Was the Same, Cole is working on Born Sinner, and his competition with Kanye heats up, and Kendrick's competitive spirit heats up the entire game. While Kendrick has the crown in 2012, the big three is getting more competitive by the year. Next year, you won't want to miss. But that is it for this video. If you did enjoy this, let me know your favorite part.
Hey, shout out to Jeremy Heck for doing this, breaking it all down and getting the clips, man. Great work. Looking like we can critique right now, right? Now we know that Drake did not write his lyrics, right? Oh, now we know that now. So we also know that Drake is fake, wanna be a gangster. This is all this shit, but behind the scenes now. But let me know what you think. Shout out to Jeremy Heck. Go subscribe to his channel and welcome to the session. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out of here, man.